My name is Tendaiishe Chitima, and I'm passionate about people's stories. Regarding narratives, there's huge potential in how our stories can be told better. At first, I think, just going to exactly what Ndivue was just saying now about history, the history that we know is, okay, speculative. It's we could say it's history that we were kind of allowed to know because maybe we didn't preserve our history enough anyway in the beginning. Like when colonization happened, some things were apparently thrown away, burnt. I mean, like to create those barriers and divisions so they could conquer, right? They divided and conquered. And some of the things that we know today, we only know in part, right? Our history, we only know it in part. But really, to be honest, storytelling is actually about preservation, right? It's a preservation of livelihood. You can use storytelling to preserve livelihoods, to preserve a way of life, to preserve culture, to preserve traditions. I mean, and when I was growing up in Zimbabwe, right, we have what they call ngano, right, where you tell stories, your grandmother. I mean, now obviously, to be honest, it's all kind of gone now because of globalization, and a lot of people have left the country. So our families back home are literally spread all over the world because of the economic situation in Zimbabwe. But growing up, the tradition was supposed to be that, you know, your aunts, which we call them tetes, your aunts would pass down traditions through stories, through scenarios. You know, African culture sometimes uses a lot of idioms and a lot of storytelling to bring points across and to, you know, bring messages across, right? We don't go straight to the point sometimes. But all these things are meant to preserve history and to preserve who we are, right? And nowadays, I think it's twofold. There is, first of all, there's still stories that we have. Again, whether those stories are authentic or not can be debated. But also we have now I think because we have independence, right? I mean, independence and freedom can be also debated because sometimes we're still like colonizing the mind, basically, right? But because we are growing our middle class, right? We are getting agency, we're getting economically able to actually take the narratives and like tell our own stories. We have the power. We're empowering ourselves through education, through business, through, you know, industry, whatever. We're equipped now. We're at a point where we can tell our own stories. We can. And then also, obviously, the internet has made it possible for us to then tell them in a way that can go to the globe immediately, right? So instantly, if you post something, the whole world could have access to it. So I think now we have a great opportunity to do so, whether or not I feel that I don't want to personalize it too much. I do think, to be honest, when Cook Off, the film that I mean, my first film.
I don't know. I think I missed my chance. Life isn't fair, Shanae. You go to school, you have big dreams.
She's such a disappointment.
You've started cooking again. How is
His name is Tapiwa. Bye, love you.
When it went onto Netflix last year, we had such amazing press and media. If I was to explain how it happened, I'm not too sure. But definitely I did I spoke to the BBC, I spoke to several international platforms. In all fairness, I think there was more international coverage than there was African coverage. I did get a couple of journalists contact me, but it wasn't as much as I think the international coverage, just to comment on the question that you had. But definitely there is so much room for us to tell our stories. And again, to the point that Leslie spoke about how, why is it, literally I was saying this, there's a project I'm working on currently where the premise of what we're trying to do to achieve on this project is about soft power. I don't know if any of you have heard of soft power. Soft power is basically when the influence a country has over other countries. Influence, just, it doesn't have to be, it's actually talking about intangible power, right? The perception that other countries hold of that country. And America is one country that has huge amounts of soft power, right? Because again, when we grew up, we grew up watching American content mostly. Like, I mean, some people have American accents if they've never been to America. You know what I mean? Like they can speak American, like properly, but they've never been. Why is that the case? It's because we were fed the American lifestyle. I knew New York before I haven't even visited most of the places in my own country, but I will know a lot about American culture. And that's the soft power that they have, right? We all wanted to visit at one point, wanted to visit the States. We wanted to work there, wanted to live there, the American dream. What is the African dream? What is the Zimbabwean dream? Those are my questions. But that can all be created through narratives, through storytelling, and through film. And that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. How can we build Africa's soft power? How can we become influential? And it is through the arts. I like what Ndivhuyo was saying about literature. What is the literature? What are we saying about ourselves? What are we imagining, and how are we expressing what we are imagining about ourselves, about our countries? Because storytelling also shapes identities, right? It shapes who you are. If I tell you and I show you a picture of who you are, even looking at yourself in the mirror, that's an image, right? The images you see of yourself. What do you see? All those things, if we have a cohesive and coherent vision of what Africa can be, and if we express that vision and that image in a way that is creative and that is captivating, that changes perceptions and minds, I think we're on the right way. And that's something that we're currently working on with the team that I'm with. So I'm really excited about the future, because like I said, I feel that we are at a place where we are empowered, we can do something about it. And so it's time for us to do it.